This is my favorite coffee house.
And it's my favorite town. Port Townsend is so awesome. And these guys, the coffee they make, you just wait.
You can't find it anywhere else.
Welcome,
Hey,
Eric.
Bill.
Thanks,
How you doing,
thanks
man?
for coming by. Come on in, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Man, look at all these beans. How many different kind of beans do you bring in?
We have beans from every corner of the world. Indonesia, Africa, South America, Central America. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. But yeah, we get them everywhere.
Are you having trouble getting supplies? I hear that the coffee supplies in different parts of South America are beginning to be a little more difficult to get hold of.
We haven't had any problems yet. You know, I keep waiting, and we like a lot of coffee roasters our size, we buy our coffee through a broker. They go to origin, to, you know, Honduras or wherever, and buy coffee through individual farmers, through local co-ops, and they buy big lots and they ship it over on a big boat to a warehouse in Oakland, and that's how it begins the journey here.
Nice.
Yeah.
These are some of the finest coffee beans in the world, if I'm judging by the end product, which is incredible.
Well, we only buy organic and really careful of what we buy. When we need a particular origin, we go on our broker's website and we look at what's available, and when, if it's on spot, it's in the warehouse right now. If it's in transit, we get a timeline, and we often buy a future position on that.
Yeah, futures are important.
Boatload of coffee, yeah. Because you lock in the price and you're taking a little bit of a risk, but if you're following the market, which I can do on an iPhone,
that's pretty cool.
I can pretty much. We haven't been hurt yet with buying futures, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, how many different beans do you have to buy to make your blends? You have, what, 8 different blends that you do, and each one has 3 to 5 to 8 beans?
We have more than 8 blends. We have 15 labels right now. One of them is for a single origin, which covers, you name it, an African, a South American, Honduras, Nicaraguan, whatever, you know, whatever people want and whatever is available and our broker recommends. So when we say we need a Nicaraguan, we say, okay, is that its spot? Yes, it's its spot. So how many bags? Plenty of bags. And we say, give me the cupping notes for that particular origin, which is a tasting note. So our broker has this big round table in their main office. Every morning, every single employee in that office is required to go to that table and taste the coffee that came in the day before. So coffee comes into the warehouse in big shipping containers and is unloaded, and then a sampler comes over, and there's actually a device you can jam through the burlap and sample the coffee. Pull a little 1 pound sample, and they have 1 pound roasters. It's roasted overnight, so in the morning it's roasted, it's ready to go. What you see when you sit at the table, you see the green beans, you see the roasted beans, and then they have the actual coffee brewed. It's sort of like tasting wine. You have so many of them, you have to like sip the coffee, spit it out, clean your palate, and figure out what comes into your head about.
It's very much like wine, except
yeah.
that, as I understand from my research, there's actually many more flavor compounds and alkaloids in coffee than you actually find in a glass of wine.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Very complex.
It is really
You must
complicated.
have a really good palate.
They have a great palate, and you know, I really rely on those cupping notes.
Yeah.
They're everything to us. So, and we've never been led down the wrong path. So that's why we love our broker so much. They're
He's
really
a keeper.
Great organization. They've been at this for many, many, many years, and we're in what's called the specialty coffee industry. You know, we're not what the coffee. We don't buy what would go into Maxwell House, for example. Nothing
Folgers, all
bad at Folgers. All those are just. It's just a different industry. So
that's why we're here, to talk with you,
yeah.
find out more.
So
Well, tell us about the roaster. It's a very unique roaster, and how did you come to have it?
we've been looking at this roaster, Loring, these Loring roasters for years at trade shows, and it's the roaster that everybody wants. It's coveted by everybody in our industry. I mean, there are other roaster manufacturers, and we been looking at it for a long time, and then we got to a point where we needed to, make a decision where we were going to retrofit our old convection roaster or conduction roaster by putting on an afterburner, which would have raised our carbon footprint by threefold.
Yikes.
Because you have to pay for that afterburner.
Yeah.
Or are we going to go to this convection roaster, which is a closed system?
Zero emissions.
So zero emissions. The burner and the money you spend to roast your coffee is the same money you spend to burn off the emissions. So it's a closed system. Nothing comes out into the environment, either in our shop or through the stack. And we have, of course, we're overseen by an air agency out of Olympia Regional Air Agency, and we're inspected every year. And I think they love when people buy this machine because they don't have much to do. So
I bet they do.
anyway,
I understand that different backers in Port Townsend that encourage small businesses all banded together to help you to get this.
Port Townsend is really blessed with this organization called Local Investment Opportunity Network, LION for short. And these are people who have the wherewithal to invest in their local businesses, keep their money on our Main Street instead of on Wall Street.
Right.
And that's how we bought the roaster. There's $100,000 you're looking at. So we saved $20,000. We're trying to figure out with the bank how to do it, and we would have, but we ended up going to this, applying for a loan, $80,000 with Lion, and we filled the application out, and 2 weeks later we had 20 people in here wanting to loan us money because, Sue has built up her reputation here in Port Townsend. Everybody, she's an icon in the town. Everybody knows her, and they know our product, and people love this place, and they wanted to support us. And that was 5 years ago in May, and we own that roaster now.
Congratulations.
We paid it off this spring.
So where are we in this process of these beans being roasted?
So these beans have already hit first crack, and they are almost done. They're about halfway to second crack.
So first crack is like 385 degrees, something like that, and the Maillard is starting.
Yeah, so the Maillard is going to be happening the whole time. It's going to be about the sugar processing.
And the amino acids. The caramelization, though, takes place after Maillard?
The caramelization will take place mostly after first crack, so it'll start from at first crack. We turn it down. We turn the burner down so that we can roast slower, so we have a really big optimal time that the roast can be finished and that it'll develop the flavors.
But you have to keep going up in temperature. You're just slowing down the rise.
Exactly. I'm letting it happen slower so that we can get more of the flavors brought out through that. So more time is more flavor.
In there. I understand there's over 1 million flavors during this process that get created and destroyed.
I believe it. Yeah, definitely.
And you've got to pick just the ones you want. You are an artist, my friend.
Thank you.
So what we're looking here is, we're seeing the beans as they're being roasted, correct?
Yes, that is what they look like right now, and this roast is actually going to be done in about 2 seconds.
Okay.
So that's our espresso roast that just finished up. That's what we use for all of our espresso drinks.
It looks beautifully dark, and I wish that I could portray on the camera the smells that we're getting here.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the aromas.
Nothing like fresh roasted coffee.
Nothing. And I mean really fresh roasted. And this is chilling it down right now, correct?
Yeah, so this is the cooling tray, and what happens is there's cool air that is, I guess, blown up into the beans, and as the beans circulate, they all evenly get that same amount of cool air, and so it'll stop the roasting process.
Right where you want it.
Yeah, exactly. So we have had the power, we had the power go out once in the past after we put it in the cooling tray, and then we had to hand cool it. We had to mix it by hand for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, but that was fun.
Oh yeah, definitely.
From what I understand, during the roasting procedure, the first crack is when the moisture inside the coffee bean actually acts like popcorn and pops it open a little bit. And the second that you only get close to espresso, which sounds more like sizzling bacon, I hear.
Yeah.
But that actually dehydrates the bean.
Yeah, so what happens in first crack is that basically roasting coffee is the fact that it's going through phase changes, so all the water that's inside the bean is turning into steam, and then it will be released. So what happens in first crack is that it's the first moment that the water has reached the high enough temperature that it literally explodes out the bean. So it's causing the bean to crack as it creates a fissure hole for the steam, and then from then on, there's not going to be as much water left in the bean because it's all kind of been released. And so then from then on, then it will be doing that caramelization and the rest of the chemical reaction.
Yeah, I love caramelized things.
Yeah.
We love your coffee, but how did this all start? How did you get this story?
Well, it's a kind of a funny story, excuse me. So when I first moved here in '94, I didn't have a job, so I, as everybody, have several jobs. And I moved here with my boyfriend, and we happened to be neighbors with the person who owned this. And at that time, it was in a different building. It was strictly wholesale. And so Christopher, he was only doing about less than 100 pounds a week out the door.
Thousands.
I do a lot, yeah. And so anyway, I thought my boyfriend at the time would enjoy this business because Christopher was trying to sell it. So Scott said, I want to stay friends with Christopher because he's kind of a character. Port Townsend has a lot of character.
Yes, they do.
So anyway, so I said, okay, well, I told Christopher, I said, well, I guess, Scott doesn't want to do it, I'll try it. And he's like, you'd be great. So at that time, I was just learning to drive for our local transit, Jefferson Transit, and then I started doing this. So I was doing this half-time, learning to roast from Christopher, and he said, you can buy the business. We agreed upon a price, we shook hands, and I literally kept track of how many pounds of beans I sold, and that's how I paid for this business, was by beans, how many beans I sold out the door.
Nice.
And when I got to the price that we agreed upon, the business was mine, and I just had to buy the back stock of the green coffee beans. And in the meantime, Christopher just took off, left me with a checkbook to pay the bills, put money in the account, and I got to keep the cash. I walked in. So anyway, so that was like 20 years ago. Yeah, and here I am.
You built it up.
Oh yeah, it took a long time. Yeah, I got into all the restaurants and more grocery stores, and it took a while, and I drove the bus, and I had a couple of accountants go in, and I would have the coffee on the bus, and somebody would be waiting at the bus stop, and I'd open the door, and there it is. People would say, you have the best smelling bus in town. So anyway, so that's that.
So the old saying about it being a bean counter.
It's true.
I always thought bean counters would run a business.
Yeah.
No.
I know.
All right, well, why don't we taste some coffee?
All right, so as you know, there's lots of coffee out there to taste. There's a lot of different methods that people do for tasting coffee. There's a traditional method of, you fill these little white cups with coffee and hot water, and you take spoons and you slurp, and I like to do that. I do that when I'm getting a fresh batch of beans in, because I like to see what the attributes and the qualities and how I can roast those. But for everyday people who are just going to be drinking their coffee at home, I like to do this kind of tasting. And I like to make the same kind of coffee 3 different ways so that you all get to see the difference that making it from a French press we're going to do, and we're going to make it from an AeroPress. Not a lot of people have heard of an AeroPress, but it's really cool. And then we're going to do some drip coffee, which I've already made. So here we go. We're going to start with the method of the French press, and while we're doing that, we're going to do the while it's steeping, we'll do the AeroPress. So what I do is we're going to take my spoon and let's see.
And what is this?
I'm not telling you.
Ah, okay.
That's part of the secret, because you're going to do some taste testing.
All right.
Okay. So we scoop a couple of scoops in here. And for, there's always, people tell you how to do it, how to make coffee. I say make it as strong or as weak as you like. It's your personal preference. Just follow the basic guidelines and you'll be good, and just go from there, either more or less for coffee. I'm just going to put some hot water. You want it at least 190 to 200 degrees. And even if it goes over a little bit of your time, it's okay. Nothing, there are, you can be, totally nerdy, geeky about it, which is great.
And that smell wonderful.
Man, the aroma that's coming across right now is tremendous.
It really is.
Okay, so we're going to let that steep. Now, we're going to do this one. Okay. AeroPress. Just do that real quick. Okay, and you just have to do this. Okay, here's the AeroPress. Sorry. I'm a little nervous.
Always be nervous.
Okay, so this is the AeroPress, and it's a really cool little gizmo. The guy who invented the like a frisbee whammo ring with the hole in it, he hated all the hotel coffee he was drinking, so he decided to make his own little coffee maker that he could take with him when he goes to hotels. So we're going to do 1 scoop of this. Okay. Now, what I do is just okay. Let's see the little bubbles going there. Let's give this a little stir. So now this is the AeroPress. So what I do, now I'm going to plunge it. It's kind of like a French press, but a little different. And we're just going to push down. And it's going through a little filter. And this filter, it's a paper filter, and you can reuse them. But also, they have a mesh one, but I like the paper filters because it takes out some of the oils in it, and that takes out some of the bitterness. Okay, so that was pretty quick. And the other beauty, yeah, so what's really cool about this, now what you do is you just take this off, and either you can rinse it and reuse it, and this is like a little hockey puck, boom, right into your recycling, rinse.
Produce a good cup of coffee with this hot water? Wow.
And now this is, it might get a little messy.
We know about messy.
Yeah,
Yeah. We don't have to.
there.
Oh my. Oh yeah.
And what I like to do, you can smell, and like wine, you slurp it over across your tongue, and you're going to feel different places in your tongue where you taste it, and it's a little hot.
Your taste buds are fixed in different places in your mouth, so
Right.
you've got to get it everywhere so you can taste everything.
Exactly,
Full spectrum.
exactly. So
This is beautiful.
yeah, and that was just like a really quick.
I get some really, almost apricot-like tea notes in this. This is really good.
That's amazing. Now we're going to do the French press, and it's been about 3 minutes, wouldn't you say, ish? You can do it like 3 to 4 minutes, depending on the strength that you like. Ooh.
all right. I ain't seen nothing.
That's happened before to me. I plunged too hard. We just go a little slow. I overfilled it. That's operator error right there. See, even the best things, you know, people who
Making high quality products,
Yeah.
wine, beer, it's not
accidents
it's a messy
accidents
business,
happen.
you know?
Hey, that's life. That's
All right.
life in the real world.
It is.
All right.
In particular.
So now,
Anyway,
let's see. You guys have that.
okay.
Okay. Ready? Get a little
Tell by the color already.
strong. And this is the French press.
I pick up more of the dark roast in there.
Yeah, well, look, you can see
More
it.
of that.
See it in the cup.
Yeah. And some people will let the coffee sit a little longer in the AeroPress just to, you know, get it a little maybe stronger. And
Totally different.
I know, isn't that
Different
amazing?
body.
Right. And if you noticed, oh, we're going to do one more tasting. Okay. So now we have that one,
Well,
and we have that one. Okay.
And these are all the same beans?
All the same.
Wow. I don't pick up the aromatics quite as much
No.
in this,
no.
See, now this is a lot.
but it's different in the palate.
Yeah, you taste more of the citrus, winey
Yeah.
flavor to it.
I have a friend of mine owns a coffee company in Oakland, and I won't say the name, but he gave me
A French press, yeah. So now 3 different methods and 3 different grinds of coffee, or yeah, 3 different grinds of coffee. So this was the French pressed, this was the AeroPress, and then this is drip. And so the drip is a little bit finer. And if you want, because we're not going to drink these coffees right now, you can feel the difference in the grind in both of them.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel that? So that the grind
this
is
coarser and lighter at the
right,
same time.
right, and that's for the French press. For the AeroPress, it's a little bit finer, and then it's finer yet for the drip coffee. So it's really important to get the grind for the method that you're using. So some people, they always go to the machine at the store. They're like, how do I grind it?
Right.
Well, after you've learned the proper grind that works for your method of making the coffee,
And your coffee bean.
right, I always tell people feel the grind, because a lot of machines out there grind differently because, you know, maybe they're manually set by somebody. So get in touch with your grind, know what it is to make a really great cup of coffee. Yeah, I'm trying
This is
to.
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all about not being afraid to make a mistake, as like I did when I plunged and coffee
Hard and
splurged up.
messy.
Yeah, but it's just fun to experiment. And you know, next time if you come again, we'll do a lighter roast, and then you can taste the difference. What I like to do is when I have a time, a lot of times I'll do this tasting with a group of people, and we'll take like an hour or 2 to
Yes.
go through several different kinds of coffees to taste the difference. And I like to do this with a light roast, a medium roast, and a dark roast, and you really get a flair for how the subtleties of the coffee and the beans
Really see
come out in each method that you use.
When I was a judge at the Dallas Morning News wine competition, we had flights of 12 glasses, and we did over 500 wines in a weekend. When I walked out of there, my tongue was purple, my eyes were running from the histamine.
Right, right.
But the thing is, this is easily as complex as any wine that I've had from them.
It can be. I mean, it's amazing. Like, so this coffee that you're drinking right now is called Fly by Night. It's one of our darkest blends. So and normally if we had more time, I would now make you drink a lighter roast. Just
And you
because
would go from darker to light instead of light to dark?
I usually like to go light to dark, but I really, because
But this was more important.
this was, I just want, this is a, I should have went from light to dark.
I was just asking.
But I usually like to do 3 different coffees too. So I would love to have you guys come back and really do a full-on
Sounds
tasting.
good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I want to thank you for showing us the
And
difference.
taking all the time
Oh
and
yeah.
trouble.
And you can do this at home too. I mean, this is like a fun Sunday, you know.
When it's raining outside. Like it does
Yeah,
up here
right.
in
You know, just
Northwest.
yeah, you get a couple coffees and come home and make your your French press or this or that, and yeah, it's really
Well,
easy.
Thank you again. And
Yeah.
give me an elbow.
Okay, elbow.
All right. In the time of pandemic. Bill, thank you so
Oh, you're
much.
done. Okay, great. Was everything you wanted it to be? Or? Oh, yeah.
It is.
And then some.
Yes.
This was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was awesome.
Did you have a favorite method?
Yes.
Which-
Arrow.
The AeroPress.
Welcome to Tasting the Peninsula. I'm Eric Little, your host.
I'm Jeff Angel, your co-host.
And we travel the back roads and byways of the Olympic Peninsula to show you some of our favorite gems. We found beautiful wineries like Marestone Vineyards, where we're at right now, breweries, cideries, Port Townsend Creamery, all kinds of beautiful places that people don't know about in one of the most beautiful areas of the country. So we would like you to join us for a glass of wine, a beer or a cider, and we'll show you our favorite places.
Let us do the driving.